feel like having cold milkshakes, juices, and we enjoy ice creams during summers. But what exactly is heat? What is the phenomenon behind it? If we say heat, we are basically talking about the temperature. That is, the temperature is also, it's basically a comparable term. We cannot, tell something whether it is hot or cold. We can just tell whether a thing is a hot or cold by just comparing it. So today our topic is very interesting, what heat is. So what are our objectives for today? What is heat? What is temperature? Clinical and laboratory thermometer, that is two types of thermometers are there which are used to measure the temperature. What is difference between them, and what is the difference between heat and temperature? So what are the temperature scales? Now, the first question from me to you is, why do we wear different types of clothes in winters and summer? Why don't we wear same type of clothes in winters and summer? Because there is temperature difference. In winters, we are, we are feeling so much of cold that we feel like, wearing more and more of clothes as much as we can. And in summer we feel like wearing comfortable clothes in which we don't feel hot at all. So why there is a difference in the type of clothes that we wear during winter and summer? This is because in winter we feel so much cold, due to which we need to wear more clothes to keep us warm, while in summer it's warm, so we prefer to keep cotton clothes. Now, can I say there is something which is hidden in these words? That is, we need to wear clothes warm and warm hair. Why? Because now the point comes that there is a temperature difference. In winters, what happens? Our body is feeling cold. That is why we want clothes that can keep our body warm. That is, they don't allow the air to pass to our body. That is why we prefer to wear woolen clothes which don't allow air to pass to our body. And in summers, we feel so hot because the temperature outside us is so hot, and we want that our body should remain cool and the air should flow. There is a free flow of air to our body. That is why we prefer to wear cotton clothes. In cotton clothes, the flow of air is possible. So how can we check whether something is hot or cold? For this, we have a sense of touch. That means we normally say that, this milkshake is very cold by just feeling it in our hand, or we should not, touch this vessel. Mom has made something in it, it's very hot. How are you basically feeling whether a thing is a hot or cold? By the sense of touch. You believe your sense of touch. That is, if you are touching something, if it is hot, then it is hot, and if it is feeling cold, then it is cold. But let's just check your sense of touch, whether it is correct or not, whether you can believe on your sense of touch or not. Now, here is an activity which will show you. There is a tub of hot water, there is a tub of cold water, that is ice is there in it, and there is a tub of lukewarm water. First, what you have to do, both the hands, one should be dipped in hot water and one should be dipped in cold water. For some time, let's suppose, say for 10 seconds, you have to dip one hand in hot water and the other hand in the cold water. After 10 seconds, remove both the hands and put both the hands in lukewarm water. Okay, initially this hand, that is my left hand, was there in hot water and my right hand was in cold water. Now remove both the hands and put them in lukewarm water. This was there in hot water. Now I put it in lukewarm water, which is less hot than the hot water. What will I feel? I'll feel less hotter. I'll comparatively feel cold. But this hand which was there in cold water, if I put it in lukewarm water, what will I feel? I'll feel my hand is hot. But hands तो दोनों मेरे ही है ना, दोनों अलग अलग टेम्परेचर फेस कर रहे हैं. Why? Because it is a relative term. टेम्परेचर जो हम बात करते हैं, it is a relative term. So what will happen? One of the hand will feel hot while the other of the hand is going to feel cold. Why is this happening? This is happening because of the difference in temperature of water. Initially, your one hand was in hot water. It was very hot. It was at a high temperature. You removed your hand from that water and you were putting it in a comparatively less hot water. So what happened? You were feeling colder. But when this hand which was in cold water, in ice cold water, you removed it from ice cold water and you were putting in lukewarm water, what happened? There was a temperature difference, huge temperature difference, because of which you were feeling that lukewarm water is hot. So this is happening because of the temperature of the water. This means we cannot rely on our hands or our sense of touch to find whether a thing is a hot or a cold. So, how can we check whether an object is hot and how much hot it is? It is done by a reliable measure of hotness and coldness of an object, which is its temperature. That is, we need to measure the temperature of a body to check whether it is hot or cold. You cannot rely on your sense of touch. आप अपने sense of touch से बता नहीं सकते. जैसे कभी कभी हमें fever होता है, हमारी मम्मी कहती है लग रहा है 100 बुखार है, पापा कहते हैं नहीं 97 है. You cannot rely on your sense of touch. You need an instrument to measure it. And what do you want to measure? You want to measure the temperature. So what is temperature? It is a measure of hotness or coldness of a body, which is called as temperature. You can see the smileys on it. If the temperature is low, then no, nothing to worry. As the temperature increases, the worry increases, and you can see a red face when high temperature is there. So what exactly is temperature? Temperature is the measure of heat in the body. It identifies whether a body is hot or cold. That means the amount of heat which is contained in your body is basically temperature. And it determines whether your body is hot or whether your body is cold. And the SI unit, that is the standard international unit, which is used to measure the temperature of the body, is called as Kelvin. You might be, worrying like we use Celsius and Fahrenheit to measure temperature, but SI unit for temperature is Kelvin. The instrument which is used to measure temperature is called as thermometer. That is, we have thermometers at our home when we feel that, we are shivering, we are coughing, and we are not feeling well, we are feeling lethargic, we don't feel like doing anything. That means quite possible we'll be developing temperature, high temperature. So to check that, we use an instrument which is called as thermometer. So temperature is what? It is a measure of heat in the body. It determines whether a body is hot or cold. And the instrument which is used to measure the temperature is called as thermometer. Now, what is thermometer? It is an instrument for measuring. It measures also and it indicates also temperature. यानी कि measure करता है और जहाँ पे उसका mark रुकता है वो बताता है आपको कि कितना temperature है आपका. There are two types of thermometers based on their usage. One is clinical thermometer, one is laboratory thermometer. Clinical thermometer is that what we use at our home, and it is having a red pointer at 37. So 37 degrees Celsius, this is the clinical thermometer. And laboratories, which is used in the laboratory for what? For what purpose it is used in laboratory? To measure the basically boiling point or to measure the temperature of the solution that is formed. So a laboratory thermometer has a comparatively longer stem as compared to the clinical thermometer, and the temperature range is also more. It measures up to 100 degrees Celsius, and this clinical thermometer measures up to 42 degrees Celsius. Now, what is clinical thermometer? Yes, that we have at our home. The thermometer that is used to measure our temperature is called as clinical thermometer. It has a long, narrow glass tube which has a bulb on one end. This bulb contains mercury. It measures temperature from 35 to 42 degrees Celsius. इसकी रेंज क्या है क्लिनिकल की? 35 से लेकर 42 डिग्री सेल्सियस तक होता है. Now, you can see there is a distinguishing feature in this clinical thermometer. There is red colored number which is 37 and there is a pointer for 37. Now, can you guess why there is a pointer at 37 degrees Celsius and not at any other value? Because the normal temperature of human body is 37 degrees Celsius. In Celsius, if we talk about, then the normal human body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. Now, what is the role of this kink that is there? There is a small, abrupt thing you can say, or normal flow se thoda sa hatke there is a thing which is there that is called as kink. Now, what is that kink used for? I'll just tell you. This kink is used so that the mercury should not drop below this level. It should stay till here. इसके बाद ये rise करे लेकिन इससे नीचे नहीं जाना चाहिए mercury को. What is laboratory thermometer? It is comparatively longer than clinical thermometer, and it is used to measure the temperature in laboratories with a higher accuracy. Now, when you accidentally insert, there is an activity where that is having hot water, your hand becomes inflamed. जब आप एकदम से गर्म पानी में, आपको पता नहीं है पानी गर्म है, लेकिन एकदम से आप गर्म पानी में हाथ डालते हो तो आपका हाथ ऐसे स्वेल अप हो जाता है, रेड कलर का हो जाता है. व्हाई इट इज हैपनिंग? दिस इज हैपनिंग बिकॉज ऑफ द हीट ट्रांसफर. Now, what is exactly the meaning of heat transfer? This was at a higher temperature. Your hand was what? Your hand was at normal temperature. Now, remember a basic principle that heat always flows from, heat flows from high temperature to low temperature. This is always the case. Heat always flow from a body which is at high temperature to a body at low temperature. So what is at high temperature? Is this water at high temperature or your hand at high temperature? No. The water is at high temperature and your hand is at normal temperature. What will happen? This water is going to transfer the heat to your hand, and that is why your hand was at normal temperature. Immediately it became at high temperature, and the redness and the swelling that is there, that is because of the high temperature which it has adopted when it has just accidentally dropped into hot water. Now, identify the hot objects and cold objects. As you can see that ice cream is what? Ice cream is at a colder temperature. Pizza is hot, you like it relatively hot. Coffee is also hot, and your juice mocktail is also at high temperature. Now, do you have any idea about heat? You can see the flames that are coming out, and sometimes it happens that when it's so cold, when the environment is very cold, our family prefers to have a bonfire, sit across it, and we just keep our hands near the bonfire to have the warmth of the flames that are coming out. Now, what exactly is heat? Heat is a form of energy because you feel the warmth. The energy is getting transferred from the flames to your hands. That is, you are feeling warm in your hand. So what is heat? It is a form of energy. You get it from sun also, the heat energy. Heat is a form of energy. It can neither be created nor destroyed, but converted from one energy to another. Now, you can say that heat is a form of, if we talk about form of energy, then energy का एक golden rule है, it is never created nor destroyed. सिर्फ एक form से दूसरी form में change होता है. जैसे हमारा जो इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी है, जो हमारे सॉकेट्स में एनर्जी आती है, इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी है, वो किस में कन्वर्ट होती है? द लाइट एनर्जी दैट यू आर एबल टू फील ऑन माई फेस ऑल्सो. द लाइट एनर्जी इज कमिंग. एंड द बेसिकली जो आपके सेल्स हैं, ठीक है, सेल्स जो होते हैं रिमोट्स में हम डालते हैं, केमिकल एनर्जी किस में कन्वर्ट हो जाती है? इट इज गेटिंग कनेक्टेड टू द टीवी, देन द इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी इज देयर. देन और हम किस एनर्जी की बात कर सकते हैं? हमारे जो गैशियस एनर्जी, जो गैस है, जो जो केमिकल्स हमारे सिलेंडर्स में होते हैं, उसमें हम किस में कन्वर्ट करते हैं? लाइट एनर्जी और हीट एनर्जी बाय स्विचिंग ऑन द फ्लेम ऑफ आवर गैस. मोटराइज व्हीकल्स की बात करें तो हीट एनर्जी मैकेनिकल एनर्जी में, मतलब जो हीट एनर्जी है वो किस में कन्वर्ट हो रही है? फॉर द वर्क डन मैकेनिकल एनर्जी में कन्वर्ट हो रही है. तो हीट को हम क्या बोलेंगे? इट इज़ अ फॉर्म ऑफ एनर्जी. And it only changes form. It is not there in a single form, and it is never created and never destroyed. सिर्फ form change होती है. ऐसा नहीं एक टाइप की एनर्जी खत्म हुई तो नई एनर्जी बन रही है या कोई बना रहा है उसको. No, nothing of that sort. It is only changing forms. Now, अगर हम इलेक्ट्रिक बल्ब में बात करें, जब हम इलेक्ट्रिक बल्ब को सॉकेट में लगाते हैं तो इलेक्ट्रिक एनर्जी किस में कन्वर्ट होती है? लाइट एनर्जी में. थर्मल पावर प्लांट्स में किस में कन्वर्ट होती है? इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी में. द हीट एनर्जी इज कन्वर्टिंग इनटू इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी. Now, the most important slide for today is what is the difference between heat and temperature. If I talk about heat, it is a total energy that an object has that has molecular motion inside it. And temperature is a measure of thermal energy of an object. That is, heat का क्या मतलब है? एक ऑब्जेक्ट के अंदर जब मॉलिक्यूल्स मूव कर रहे हैं तो मूव करने से जो हीट प्रोड्यूस हुई है, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द हीट. टेम्परेचर क्या है? कि ऑब्जेक्ट की एक्चुअली एनर्जी, हम उसमें मॉलिक्यूल्स की मोशन की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. अगर वो रेस्ट पे भी ऑब्जेक्ट, तो कितनी उसकी थर्मल एनर्जी है, इसको हम बोलते हैं टेम्परेचर ऑफ एन ऑब्जेक्ट. ऐसा यूनिट क्या होता है हीट का? इट इज जूल. और टेम्परेचर इज कॉल्ड एज, टेम्परेचर का ऐसा यूनिट इज केल्विन. फॉर हीट, इतना लंबा नाम लिखने की बजाय हीट या टेम्परेचर का वी यूज अ सिंबल विच इज Q फॉर हीट, एंड फॉर टेम्परेचर इट इज T. This is used in numerical equations further when you go to class 10. Then the numerical equations are there in which these symbols are used. For heat it's Q and for temperature it's T. Temperature is like any other physical quantity which is defined as a measure of warmth of a substance or object with reference to some standard value. Now, what do they mean by saying this? That whenever we are talking about temperature, it is a relative term. Okay, that is, I am sitting inside room, I am feeling comparatively cozy. When I'll go out, I'll feel cold. That is, I am feeling cozy with respect to the outside environment. That is, temperature is what? It is with reference to something. रिलेटिव चीज़ की हम बात करते हैं. जैसे हम अगर थर्मोमीटर में टेम्परेचर देखते हैं तो आर रेंज इज फिक्स के नॉर्मल ह्यूमन बॉडी टेम्परेचर 37 है. अगर उससे ऊपर जाता है तो हम बोलते हैं कि हाँ हमें फीवर है. That means with reference to a standard value which we are just measuring the temperature of our body. That is, temperature is measured with reference to a standard value. While it is used to express hot and cold condition, temperature is usually measured with a thermometer which is marked in several temperature scale, mainly Celsius and Fahrenheit. SI unit of temperature is Kelvin, but normally the units that we measure the temperature scales is in Celsius and Fahrenheit. Now, what is the unit of temperature? The units of heat and energy are same. The SI unit of heat is joule and CGS unit is erg. Now, heat is a form of energy, so heat and energy के unit same है. एनर्जी का यूनिट जाउल है तो इसलिए हीट का भी यूनिट क्या हुआ? जाउल. एंड 1 जाउल इज इक्वल्स टू, और यू कैन से जूल इज इक्वल्स टू 10 raised to the power 7 ergs. And 1 kilocalorie is equals to 1000 calorie, and 1 calorie is equals to 4.2 joules. So how can I say that is there a relationship between, can I say there is a relationship between calorie and ergs? Yes, there is a relationship because 1 calorie is 4.2 joules and 1 joule is equals to 10 raised to the power 7. So 4.2 joules is equals to 4.2 into 10 raised to the power 7 ergs. So I can write that 1 calorie is equals to how many ergs? It is 4.2 into 10 raised to the power 7, 10 to the power of 7 ergs. That is, this is the relationship between calorie and ergs. Yes, they are units of energy only, but joule is comparatively a bigger unit as compared to ergs. Now, the SI unit of temperature as per International System of Unit, that is SI unit, is Kelvin, which is represented as K. Kelvin scale is widely accepted or used in field of science and engineering. Now, Kelvin scale, Kelvin is basically SI unit of temperature, but we use Celsius and Fahrenheit also to measure the temperature unit. So what is the relationship between Celsius and Fahrenheit? That is, Celsius is F minus 32 divided by 1.8. Now this 1.8 is actually what? It's 1.8 is coming out from 9 by 5. So I can say, if I don't want to put it in decimals, then Celsius is what? Celsius is F minus 32 divided by 9 by 5. Or I can say that it is what? It is 5 by 9 but F minus 32. This is what is the relationship. Now, if you do it vice versa, this is Fahrenheit to Celsius. If a temperature value is given in Fahrenheit, you can easily convert it into Celsius. If it is other ways round, like if it is Celsius value is given to you and you have to convert it into Fahrenheit, then it would go like this. Plus 32 is equal to Fahrenheit. Now, this would be the relationship between Celsius, that is the Celsius value is given to us and you want the Fahrenheit value. Now, conversion from Celsius to Kelvin is very simple. That is, you add 273 value to a Celsius value, Celsius whatever is given on the Celsius scale, you get a value which is there in Kelvin. So if it is 0 degrees Celsius, then in the Kelvin scale it would be 273 Kelvin. I'll mind you on this that whenever we talk about Celsius and Fahrenheit, there is a degree associated with it, but with Kelvin there is no degree associated with it. You don't write degree Kelvin at all. It's not degree Kelvin, it's only Kelvin. You don't write degree Kelvin for Kelvin. You write degree Celsius and degree Fahrenheit, but not degree Kelvin. Now, temperature can be measured on different scale. Let's study them, but before, tell me what is a temperature scale. Yes, what is a temperature scale? It's basically the range of values that we can have over a thermometer. That is, from the minimum value to the maximum value, the temperature can fluctuate, is called as temperature scale. So based on that, we have different type of temperature scale, thermometer scales, that is Celsius scale, Kelvin scale and Fahrenheit scale. Now what is Kelvin scale? The Kelvin scale is a temperature scale that uses Kelvin to denote the magnitude of temperature. That is, the value of temperature is measured in Kelvin scale. So Kelvin is the SI unit of temperature as suggested by International System of Units. Lord Kelvin, that is, I just want to remind you one thing also, that whenever a unit is named after some scientist, then it is always written in a capital letter. So that is, it is always written in capital letter, and if the entire name is to be mentioned, then you can write it in small. So it was named after Lord Kelvin, that determined that the absolute zero on the air thermometers of the time was equal to by this 273 degrees Celsius. That is, if I say minus 273 degrees Celsius, absolute zero, if we talk about absolute zero, then on the Celsius scale it's 273 degrees Celsius. If we need to convert it on Celsius scale, then we will use this value 273. We will add it to 273. Then how much value we have? We have 0 Kelvin. That is, absolute zero on the air thermometers is what? It is 0 Kelvin. Not 0 degree Kelvin, it's 0 Kelvin. That is, when it is minus 273 degrees Celsius, then it is what it is, absolute zero is 0 Kelvin on your, 0 Kelvin on your Kelvin scale. So this is what is absolute zero. If a question is asked to you what is absolute zero, it's basically 0 Kelvin. So what is Celsius scale? It is sometimes referred to as centigrade scale. Is a temperature scale that was developed based on freezing point and boiling point of water. Now the freezing point of water, you know, it's 0 degrees Celsius, and what is the boiling point of water? It's 100 degrees Celsius. What is the difference between them? This is difference between them is 100. That is why it is called as a centigrade scale. Celsius scale is an SI derived unit of temperature. It is preferred, that is used in order to measure temperatures of human beings in day-to-day lives. Like in day-to-day lives, we can measure the temperature of human beings from 0 to 100 degrees Celsius. So they are used to measure the temperature of human body. And why centigrade scale? Because they basically take the temperature values from freezing point of water, that is 0 degrees Celsius, to boiling point, that is 100 degrees Celsius. The Celsius scale has a freezing point of 0 degrees Celsius and boiling point of 100 degrees Celsius. On Fahrenheit scale, it comes out to be 32 degree Fahrenheit and boiling point is 212 degree Fahrenheit. You can easily do this conversion by means of the formula we have just discussed. For 0 degrees Celsius, the Fahrenheit value is 32 degree Fahrenheit, and for 100 degrees Celsius boiling point of water, it's 212 degree Fahrenheit. Now, discussing what is the relationship between Celsius and the Fahrenheit scale, the temperature difference of 1 degree Celsius is greater than a temperature difference of 1 degree Fahrenheit. That is, 1 degree Celsius is 1.8 times larger than 1 degree on the Fahrenheit scale. That we have seen that whenever we have to convert any Celsius value to a Fahrenheit, then we are multiplying it by 9/5 value. That is, Celsius scale is what? It is 1.8 times larger. That is 9/5. 1.8 times means 9/5. You can just check it also. 1.8 is 1.8. If you remove the decimal and put a 10 down it, then 2 9s are 18, 2 5s are 10. That it comes out to be 9/5 only. So Celsius scale is 9/5 times larger than 1 degree on the Fahrenheit scale. Now, some important fact about Kelvin scale is it's the most commonly used temperature scale in science. It has an absolute temperature to be defined at 0 Kelvin at possible lowest temperature, which is called as absolute zero. That is, the lowest temperature which you can measure on Kelvin scale is 0 Kelvin, and it is corresponding to minus 273 degrees Celsius on the Celsius scale. So it is considered as the absolute zero value. The freezing point of water on this scale are 273.15 Kelvin and 373.15 Kelvin. Unlike other temperature scales, Kelvin scale is absolute scale. It is extensively used in the scientific work. So when you have any value in Celsius, you need to add 273 to it. Normally we add 273 or 273.15 to be more precise in case of decimals, considering the decimals. Normally we add 273. Now, what is the use of Celsius scale? It is used for two main reasons. In Celsius scale, the freezing point of water are 100, freezing point and boiling point are 100 units apart. Freezing point being 0 and boiling point be 100 degree. We know freezing point of water is 0 degrees Celsius and boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. So how much units apart they are? 100 minus 0, that is 100. That is why Celsius is basically having, Celsius scale is used for two reasons. That is the freezing point and boiling point are 100 units apart. Now, the most interesting fact about temperature is that we can convert it from one to another. Now observe this, that whenever we are taking 100 degrees Celsius on the Celsius scale, then for Fahrenheit it is 212 degree Fahrenheit and for Kelvin it is 373 Kelvin. That means any temperature value given to us can be converted from Fahrenheit to Kelvin, and given on Celsius scale can be converted into Fahrenheit or Kelvin, but we need to consider the range of the temperature that particular scale uses to measure. Now, for Celsius, if you need to convert it into Fahrenheit, then you have to multiply it by 9 by 5, and for Kelvin 273.15. From Fahrenheit, if you want to convert it into Kelvin, then it is what? You have to convert it into first this Fahrenheit में से पहले आपको Celsius value निकालनी पड़ेगी. This conversion is basically for calculating the Celsius value. जब आपकी सेल्सियस वैल्यू आ गई उसमें आप 273 ऐड कर दो. केल्विन से अगर सेल्सियस में आना है तो आप उसको सीधा केल्विन स्केल में से हमें वैल्यू निकालनी पड़ेगी, और अगर केल्विन से फ़ारेनहाइट आना है पहले उसको सेल्सियस में कन्वर्ट करना पड़ेगा 273 माइनस करके. जब वो सेल्सियस में कन्वर्ट हुआ फिर हम 9/5 से मल्टीप्लाई करके 32 ऐड करेंगे. दैट मीन्स जब भी हमारी बात होगी कि केल्विन स्केल से हमें रिलेट करना है तो सेल्सियस से केल्विन ईजी है, इसलिए अगर हमें फ़ारेनहाइट से फ़ारेनहाइट में कन्वर्ट करना है केल्विन वैल्यू को, तो पहले हम केल्विन वैल्यू में से 273 निकालेंगे, सेल्सियस में कन्वर्ट करेंगे और फिर उसको हम आगे फ़ारेनहाइट में कन्वर्ट करेंगे. Now, if you have to convert 27 degrees Celsius to Kelvin, you just have to add 273 to it. You get the answer as 300. This is what was all there about the different temperature scales. Temperature is what? It is basically a relative term. It is a measure of hotness and coldness of the body. Compared to it, if we talk about heat, it's basically the heat that is generated due to the molecular motion of the objects inside the body. Heat is basically denoted by capital Q and temperature is noted by T. So Kelvin scale, absolute, when we talk about Kelvin scale, absolute 0 is important because that is a minimum value that is there on the Kelvin scale. Now, when do we have absolute 0? We have absolute 0 when we have minus 273 degrees Celsius on the Celsius scale. Thank you so much. Hope to